Okay, so today the concept is shaking, the great shaking. And like I mentioned a moment ago, I believe it's already taking place. It's started because we have a complete split in philosophies. We are completely divided. And that is only going to be the very, very beginning of the divide. Because later it's going to get to the point where family will kill family. Well, they do that now. But I mean, they'll be doing it at a time where it's going to get to be very rough, is what I'm saying, daughter. It's very going to be rough. But when we consider shaking or tribulation, it's really a purification process. It's a purifier. It purifies. I'm going to pause just one moment. I'll be right back. Okay, so tribulation or shaking, it purifies. For example, when the church was persecuted or shooken violently through persecution or being burned at the stake, it kept the church relatively pure because anybody who was not fully involved would not partake of any of that kind of danger at all, because they were being burnt at the stake. Mosquito. They were being burned at the stake, and they were singing. And in the days of the Romans, when they were killing Christians, sending them to the lions, for every one that was killed, two would pop up. They found out, or Satan found out, couldn't kill them from the front. You had to infiltrate, and that's what he does. When he does that, he creates tribulation or shaking. Now, let's see. He creates tribulation or shaking. Now, a verse that would explain this perfectly is, for example, Luke 22, verse 32. And this is where the Lord goes to Peter, and he says, Peter, Satan desires to sift you like wheat. But I said, I have confidence in Peter's faith, and I'm certain that he'll prevail. Of course, that came to pass. But he also said in that same chapter, when he was speaking to Peter, he said, listen, when you come back to me, what he's really saying is, you're not converted yet. Let me check real quick here. Yeah, when you return to me, that's what the scripture says. Jesus says to Peter. And prior to this, that's a declaration from Jesus that Peter is not, as of this moment, converted. And that was true. He wasn't converted. But what was he doing? He was casting out demons, healing the sick, raising the dead. I'm not sure. I didn't study that. I didn't look that up. But I know the other two. So an unconverted man had the capacity, because of his faith, to do those things and not even be converted. Gives us hope, doesn't it? It gives me hope. So now we know when Peter was converted, it was very, very quickly. Fast. I can't think of anybody else who was converted quicker. The cross sifted Peter into the church. When the rooster crowed and Peter had to endure all of that with the cross and betraying Jesus, that's when he was converted. That's when Peter stepped into that's when his life no longer had value to him anymore. He had been changed. Conversion. You see, prior to, like I said, the cross sifted Peter into the church. That meant that prior to that, he was out of the church. I mean, he was not converted, out of the church. So they're sifting in and they're sifting out. And that changed Peter completely. Okay. Yeah, I already mentioned those things. All right. So let me continue. So in the last days, it's going to get much, much worse. It's going to, even politics will evaporate. Eventually even that. Hey, hold on a second. Let's see here. I made a note when I was talking to my sister Tiger. Let's see. Let's see here. Just nope. That's another one. Well, anyway. So ultimately, people are going to be sifted in, and people are going to be sifted out. Now, there's a lot of people that use the Lord's name, but live the way they want, and they know better. Deep down inside, there'll be no excuse. They're in the church right now, occupying space, and as they occupy space, they're doing damage. When persecution comes, or the hardest times come, those people will be shooken out of the church, even though they physically, even though spiritually they're already out, they'll be physically out. But daughter, have good cheer, because for every person that gets kicked out of the church, sifted, because they have no substance like chaff from wheat, another person who, what are the qualifications? Moans and groans and cries for sin, desires a pure heart and pursues it with all their desire. Purity of heart. Those are the people. Now there is a last day sifting that is really going to be rough, man, rough. And I don't mean like I'm trying to be a little dog or anything, but Ezekiel 9, starting with verse 1, that's going to be a real shaking, and that's when things really get weird. It talks about the Lord ordering up 6 angels with killing weapons, battle axes and battle hammers, and so there's 6 of them, and they're going to do some killing is what's going to happen. But the 7th person has an inkhorn, like how you would keep a record or how you would place a mark on something. He had an inkhorn, like a horn of plenty. And the scripture says in those verses, the 6 of you stay still and do nothing until my recorder places a mark on the forehead of everybody who moans and groans for purity and hates sin. You wait. The four corners of the earth, you wait. So he goes about and he places them. Now this time getting a mark is a good thing. Sometimes getting a mark is pretty good. So the mark is delivered, and all that are marked, and all that are not marked, and that is the end of that. They're still alive. Just like in the last days, when Jesus comes, there'll be wicked people who will still be alive. And they'll see it coming. But in regards to that, once that inkhorn has completed its job and everybody is marked, there will be those who are not marked. They'll be young, they'll be old, they'll be women, they'll be men, there'll be children. I don't know how that would be myself, children, little ones, because of the age of accountability. That's where I would scratch my head. But okay, so they're going to go out, those angels, those killing angels, and they're going to start at the tabernacle. They're going to start at the temple. They're going to start right at the heart of where God's people were supposed to be representing him. Like these people who say, hey, I take the Lord, I speak up in his name, but in truth, I live my life the way I want. So they're going to starting at the sanctuary, and they're going to branch out like an atom bomb, how it explodes, and they're going to start killing people, a lot of them, a lot. And then what will happen is when the Lord comes, they'll get raised, the second resurrection. So that is the ultimate shaking when you're marked or not marked. I mean, the truth can be shaking. The truth can shake you up, and that's why you gotta, when we're called to go out and to be brave and not to be cowardly and not to say the smooth things, we go out and we say it, what's going on, and we're gonna take just a little bit of harassment for that. Well, it doesn't matter, because the harassment could lead all the way up to death, but you have to sign on for the whole road, dear daughter. Scripture says, blessed is he that endureth to the end. And that's why Ecclesiastes says it's better to finish something than to start, because everybody starts something. Very few people finish. I love you, daughter.